It says live up there.
Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled July meeting for the North Central Board of Education. 6:30. Call roll or pledge allegiance first, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Smelter, will you call the roll, please?
Lee.
Here.
Anthony. Here. Homer.
Here.
Tim. Here. Shane.
Here.
Any items from board members? Nothing tonight. Introduction of guests and public participation. Mr. Chuck White on follow-up on CRT. You're welcome to speak.
All right, I've got a few things. I'm gonna start off with just a statement here. My name is Chuck White. My wife, Brittany, and I have 2 children in North Central schools currently, and 2 that have graduated from the school district. The 2 that are actively enrolled as students who are here for tonight, them and every other student at North Central. They are too young to fight for themselves, so we are here to fight for them and are unapologetic in our right to be advocates for these children. Critical race theory has been around for decades, originating as Marxism, but has recently exploded as extremism in our children's schools. Critical race theory is a repackaged and reversed racism. It manifests device ideas about oppressive race, needing to carry a collective guilt, and assigns racial significance to seemingly neutral concepts. It forces children to deny their racial identity and rank themselves according to power and privilege. It repeatedly reminds them that there is a racist white supremacist nation in whose historical crimes they must be apologetic and forever responsible for. Critical race theory not only teaches children that skin color matters, but that it is the only thing that matters, which is the true definition of racism. It generates lessons by introducing racial grievances in every subject in curriculum as a way to force feed and indoctrinate students into this way of thinking. While teaching our children that white people are oppressive and racist, CRT also joins with the 1619 Project to teach that our founding principles, our U.S. Constitution, and our American way of life should be overthrown. Its central theme is that the true founding and birth of our country was the year that the first slaves were brought to our colonies, 1619, making America built on slavery and racism. It is a very dishonest distortion of our American history, also built on theory. I just wanted to read that just because it's our definition of CRT. There's a lot of people out here that don't even know what it is. They don't understand it. And to be honest with you, if you look it up on Google, you're not going to find very much. There's not a lot on the mainstream search engines to find what you're looking for. So I wanted to bring that out so people could hear it. They could even look it up for themselves and actually start investigating it. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to go over was I sent out handouts to all of you guys. Some pamphlets, some ideas, some concepts, things that you might not have seen before, so you can actually look through it I think you got it Friday with your packet, so that way you guys had a chance to just go through it. I wanted to go over a few, is there any questions first on any of that stuff? Or I wanted to go over a few of them myself with you guys. Let's see here. All right, so the first one I want to go over, which I numbered them, if you can tell that I numbered all of them, is a state by state of CRT. And what it does is it highlights some of the states that have done nothing, some of the states that have put new bills in to block all teachings whatsoever. And as you can tell, Ohio is where the new bills are being brought in, and that's SB 322, and it is in process right now. And just so you guys know that, if you didn't know that, if public didn't know that, our legislatures are trying to keep this out of our schools right now. So there's a big coalition in Ohio, just so you don't think it's us or it's just this community or even this county or it's the whole state. There are people who want to stop this. The other one that I wanted to go over, which was number 6. If you could turn to page 6, please. It's critical race theory in classrooms. What that is it actually talks about terminology. Critical race theory obviously is a hot topic term right now. And if you see teachings or you hear it, you're obviously, there's red flags up. So what is the first thing they do is change the terminology. So you don't know what it is and you can't hear it and you don't see it. Some of the terms that are used are social justice, diversity and inclusion, anti-racism, critical theory, critical thinking, critical studies. This handout actually talks about different terms that are used as opposed to actual critical race theory. Any questions on that? You guys have seen that? Yeah, okay, good. The next one is number 7, which is an actual, you looked at this and it kind of looked like a little bit of a handout if you saw it. It's actually was produced by a company for the NEA. The NEA is the National Education Association, largest teachers union in the country. And this handout is actually for teachers to change what they're saying. So if you cannot talk about critical race theory in your schools, talk about this. Use these terms. The reason why I bring this up is there are obviously organizations that want to push this agenda. They want to push this agenda through, and without not having the knowledge of what it actually is and what it's saying, you have to be able to look into it a little bit closer. You have to be able to hear it. You have to be able to see it. That's what this handout is, okay? So the next thing I want to go over is I have some more handouts. So sorry, guys. And I'll pass those out real quick. Hold down that way. The reason why I'm bringing so much to you guys is because I know you probably haven't been able to find very much, okay? And if you have, good, and I'm glad that you're actually looking at it. But the amount of information that's out there, sometimes you can find it. Did you guys get it? Okay, so the first one is actually from the Bryan Times. It was a letter to a public forum, and this is recent. Obviously from a gentleman from Archbold, and it talks about critical race. And the reason why I printed this up and I brought this is because it's not just in our community. People are trying to stop this in other communities. This is not just a North Central thing. Obviously, you guys know that, but there are other people in other communities that are also trying to stop this. The next page is actually, as of right now, the U.S. Department of Education released new information today that they are backing down any pushing of critical race theory in any educational systems. And that was, I believe it was yesterday, late yesterday, if not early today. This is a great thing. So the U.S. Department of Education will not impose critical race theory on anyone and at any time, regardless of what state the state does. The one thing that they are talking about is that it is to be decided at the local levels. So that comes to my next page here, the last page, which is the ORC. And if you guys don't know this, I'm going to read this real quick. Pursuant to ORC 3301.07B3, 3313.60, is the responsibility of Ohio's local boards of education to vet and approve curriculum and educational materials for use in the public schools within their district. The use of any materials posted, linked to on the Ohio Department of Education website, including materials within Ohio's learning standards and dependencies, or any state model curricula or other educational resource material, is entirely up to the discretion of each local board of education. So what does that say? What that means is, and this is right from the ORC, that means you guys get to decide whether or not critical race comes in here. You guys get to decide the curriculum that is being taught here, not unions, not faculty, not administration, the board. And you might already know this, but you can deny any or all part of the curricula that comes in from the state. You have that power. Everything is pushed off to the local boards. I bring that up because that is something that if you guys are willing to ban any type of teachings of critical race of any form, any terminology, and Project 1619, that it is your right to do that as the Board of Education of North Central. You do not need approval from the state. You do not need anything. You can do this. Couple other handouts were just, is there any questions on it? Sorry, that was a lot of information. Sorry, these were all printouts, and just so you know, that is from the actual ORC. This isn't something I kind of typed up and said, hey, this is from the ORC. That is from the Ohio, just so you guys know that. All right. The other thing I wanted to go over is, would you guys decide whether or not to ban any of this teaching in the school? That is fantastic. And every single person here that's here or out is, if they're gonna appreciate your efforts to do that. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't come into the school. It doesn't mean that it's not already here. I know that you have stated that it's not in the curriculum, but it will be. That's the problem. It's not going to say critical race theory 101, okay? That's not how it's done. It's brought in, it might in college, which is really where this needs to be. And it's really where it has been, but seeping down into public schools for kids that don't have the choice and can't choose whether they want to take that class or not, like they can in college. They are getting indoctrinated by this, and the point I'm trying to make is that you have to be able to reprimand. If these things come into the school and they're taught in any form, in any way, to any way, you know, I've already heard many reports ever since obviously we started this. You know, people have come out and they've talked to me. They don't want to talk out in public because, you know, they don't want to get in trouble, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, there's been videos that when they describe the video to me and in this school, it screams CRT. You know, a couple other examples, but my point is that you guys have to be able to monitor it. You have to be able to see it. You have to be able to know it, and you have to be able to stop it right away. You know, with that, there is also part of the Ohio Revised Code, because I like reading a lot. That we as parents are allowed to have at any point in time, any information before any videos, books are to be given to any student whatsoever in the Ohio Revised Code. Upon the request of any parent or legal guardian of a student, the Board of Education at any school district shall permit the parent or guardian to promptly examine and with respect to the parents or guardian's own children. Now, any textbook, workbook, software, video, or other instructional materials being used by the district in connection with the instruction of the child. So, and that might happen.
Is this, what's the administrative code on that, Chuck?
This is, I guess this would be 331152 G2.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I can get copies for you guys, or you can look it up. But copies of statewide academic standards and each model curriculum developed pursuant to the section, I won't read the number, of the revised code, which copies shall be available at all times during school hours in each of the districts. So, and obviously that's probably, the curriculum is at our disposal that we can actually come in and take a look at. You know, I believe
Yeah,
that,
we use the state standards.
correct, which you do not have to, but you do. Now, what's nice about that is that the state has backed off, hopefully, with SB 322, and they won't allow this to go into the state curriculum. Is that going to happen? I don't know. But you use the state standard, well, you don't have to. They can decide not to. They can, yeah, and if it's in there, they can decide not to. That's what we're asking. And that would be considered a ban on any of this teaching. But my point is that the textbooks, the workbooks, the software, any videos, anything should be available to all. And we sign a thing at the beginning that says you're allowed to do all that stuff. You're allowed to take videos, you're allowed to take pictures, you know, all that.
Or not.
Yeah, or not, yes, correct. But I don't get information that they're watching this certain movie. Well, how do I know what movie they're watching now? You know, 10 years ago, when my oldest daughter was in here, would I have thought about that? No, I don't care. Watch whatever movie you want to watch. I don't really care. Now, yes, every movie, every book, everything. Because I can't trust that it's not going to be any part of CRT inside that. Now, I believe that all you have the right intentions and you want to stop this. I believe that. But you're not going to be able to be at the school at every single waking moment. Even Bill probably can't watch what is going on 110% of the time. You know, I've run businesses, I know.
That's the truth.
I understand that, but we can request that according to the ORC and have a standing request that no matter what is being taught, we get to see what's being taught. You know, my daughter graduated last year, you know, I have a daughter that's in, what grade is she in? Yeah, sophomore. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Same as your daughter. Okay, great. Well, they just changed, so you know, she was a freshman. Okay. I never saw any homework. Now I understand that, you know, the COVID issues and we were all online and all that and everything. But even the year before, I didn't see any homework. You know, and I thought it was weird. And I thought, you know, my kids are smart. And I'll say it. They're pretty smart. So maybe they're just doing it at school. You know, maybe they're just getting it done. No, there was no homework. And I asked myself, why is there no homework? I mean, I remember when I went to school, there was homework all the time. It was and we always had homework. I'm sure every single person sitting at these places had homework. There was absolutely no homework. Now, why you ask? Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because how am I supposed to see anything that they're doing if there's never any homework brought home? There's never any information brought home. You know, so apparently every day I have to come up here and ask, which my wife is stay-at-home mom, so she will be. Until we know that CRT is not in the school at all. Because, you know, unfortunately, it more than likely is. I've heard that it is. I have to believe that it's everywhere. I just watched an article. It's in Hasbro. You say, oh, Hasbro. Yeah, Hasbro. Hasbro teaches CRT so they can indoctrinate kids through toys. Now you say, well, Chuck, you're just a crazy nutbag, but look it up. So if it's in Hasbro and it's in a toy manufacturer in order to start as early as possible to indoctrinate, you know, to teach them this type of theory, why wouldn't it be in schools? And why would it be already in your school, our school? Okay, that's enough of that. So you guys got the point. I have a closing statement. I don't think I'll make it today. What I'm gonna ask is, I ask you guys to consider this ban. You know, if I haven't given you enough information, I can bring back more, trust me. I only brought 2 folders. Yeah. So, I mean, I can bring, you know, whatever you need to know. I mean, you guys can find this. I found all this stuff. You guys can find it all too. And hopefully you did. Hopefully you looked through it. You saw what I gave you and then look for yourself because, you know, I wouldn't trust what one guy gives me and the information. I want to see it for myself. I want to look it up. I want to find out. And what my wife, and probably a few of the people behind me want you guys to ban this teaching and make sure that if it is in this school and we find out that it's in this school, that there are reprimands for it. I don't know how, I don't know what reprimands. Maybe there needs to be some type of a coalition between parents, teachers, board members, administration in order to watch for it, keep it out. You know, it's all about the kids. You know, we could say that's what it's there for. If I didn't have any kids in school, I don't know that I'd be sitting up here talking to you. I don't want my son or my daughter, you know, to learn any of this stuff. I don't want them to be a part of it, you know. So with that said, I'll end and we request you guys to ban this. I'm following up, giving you as much information as I can, doing my part as a parent to make sure that whatever I can find out, you know. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You know, I think clearly, you know, appears as though you've, you know, certainly done some homework on this, and it's greatly appreciated. I mean, whether you have children in the school, you don't have children in the school, I think, you know, everybody has, you know, to do their due diligence to look into these issues and equal rights, you know,
Sure.
to come in and express their concerns. And, you know, I think, at least I know on my behalf, we have an obligation to make a well-informed decision and take all the information that we get and collectively make a decision that's certainly in the best interest for our community here. And so I appreciate it.
Okay.
My kids have homework, so I'm not sure, maybe that is.
I'll tell you what, I don't know, I mean, I never really saw him, like I
I just
said,
wanted to point that out.
Well, at the high school level, since we went to this block scheduling format, I think it's more designed that you get your teaching and then you also have more time to do your homework with instructional
That's-
right there.
yeah.
And I think last year, yeah, due to COVID, but we went to that block schedule and they're getting more one-on-one with the teacher there to help them step by step through their homework. My kid didn't bring homework home either. And I think we're just in that era now where everybody's so busy and I'm thankful for it. You know, where she gets one study holiday, where she can get all her homework done.
sure.
You know, but I think only 4 periods a day, they're getting more time to work with the teacher and get more of that homework done in class. But I understand you're not seeing it,
Well,
which is a little discouraging.
and I'm not gonna sit there and look over my daughter's shoulder. I mean, she's 4 point, obviously, we know what Brenna did last year. So, you know, I'm not too concerned about their grades. And if this issue wasn't here in front of us and through the country, that I wouldn't be going, where's the homework? So I can at least, look at it. I mean, what are they learning? What are they seeing? I mean, I couldn't tell you anything that my kids learned last year because they learned it all here. And then, and they do so well that, what did you do at school? I don't know, nothing, painted, those are the answers that I got. So, and
I guarantee you they did more than me.
well,
I promise you that.
well, yes, I would hope so. And I'm sure they did, but that was the answer I
I
got.
just
a
want to make
couple
sure
times.
because there are a lot of people.
I'm not good. And that's fine if all they did was paint it. It just should be a really good painting. But, my point is that, we would want to see what's going on because of this issue, not because we don't believe they're learning in North Central, because of this issue. This issue that is at hand, we need to make sure that we see it and we make sure that it's not in our kids' curriculum or any kids' curriculum. So, all right,
Thank you, sir.
you bet.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board at this time? Yes, sir.
Greg Sobchak. I would just like to say that the NEA is on record that it would like to teach critical race theory in all 50 states. They are on record as doing that. And I would urge the board not to put your money on the state, not to wait for what the state would say, but to do something now and do something on your own. Because there are books and lesson plans for students beginning at age 5 available right now. And all it would take, I should point out, NC is represented by the NEA. All it would take, somebody introduces a pamphlet, somebody introduces a printout, a flyer. Principals don't know everything that takes place, and if they don't bring it home, the parents don't see it either. If you don't take a stance now and wait for someone else to do it, I guess I'm paraphrasing, was it Winston Churchill said, all that's necessary for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing. There you go.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Do we have what type of curriculum that this would be? I mean, I mean, you said a lot of stuff with the informational, and I'm not saying I'm for it or anything like that, but what is it? What would this be? And before we blindly just say no.
I mean, what would it?
If you research it and really look into it,
I mean,
you'll be open for a rude awakening.
because there's racial things that, I was done in, that I, did when I was in high school, things like that, in the older, not in the elementary school. Books and, art history and things like that, that were just brought up, history class and things like that. I would just.
It's reverse racism is what it is. What they're doing is they're taking and they're making sure the kids, the white kids especially, are now wrong. They're now bad. They now have to pay reparations. They're 6 years old, they're 5 years old, they're 10-year-old. They're the ones that are going, they're making sure that they understand when they get older that they're not the dominant race, which I'm not saying I am the dominant race. But my point is that they're making sure that everyone knows that.
No, and I wouldn't want that taught, but there's other racial issues that are in the forefront that the kids are going to run into when they leave this school. I feel like I don't have, and I don't think anybody really has the full idea of what this would actually be.
Yeah, because it's not a curriculum.
Exactly.
It's not a curriculum.
Exactly.
It's a theory.
It's a theory.
And
Yes, therefore, you know, if you're thinking about where you might talk about something like this, is typically you're not gonna talk about it in math class.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's in there.
Sure.
But I'm saying typically, that's not what they're talking about.
Story.
You're talking history, you're talking English
Science.
potentially,
Science.
right?
guess-
But
I guess-
it's not in any of the standards right now.
I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, are, you know, teachers gonna get reprimanded for reading To Kill a Mockingbird in English class?
They took To Kill a Mockingbird out of it. They're not allowed to read it anymore. They say it's racist.
Well,
No, we're talking about the CRT
So,
issue.
I think that, you know, much like even if you take a look at the ORC, you know, even when you have experienced legal staff that's taking a look at the Ohio Revised Code, or you have magistrates or judges and they're reading it, many things are open to interpretation. And considering the fact that many of these things have been brought to light more so in the past few years, obviously through, you know, the societal changes that have gone on, you know, we have to take a look at it. And I think it's one of those things that just have to be very careful, because so much can be misinterpreted. You know, I can send you a text message or I can send you an email and you might not truly know exactly how I feel or what it is that I'm trying to express to you. But on your end, you might think, this guy's ticked off at me, or he's really upset about this. So, you know, I think we have to be able to take a look at the curriculum, take a look at it. And if there are those requests, you come in and you make those requests. I know when my kids are doing homework, I'm walking by going, what are you studying? What are you doing? I want them to tell me what they're doing.
Right.
You know, it's my job as a parent to make sure I'm asking the right questions. I'm not saying that you're not, I'm just saying, you know, it's my obligation to make sure my kids are getting the education that they're supposed to have.
The only thing that you're dealing with 5-year-olds, and they're not geared to interpret.
No,
They're
they're not.
assuming, they're absorbing.
Mhm.
So if the indoctrination is taking place at age 5, they're not interpreting anything. They're taking what's said and what's presented, and they're absorbing that. And that in turn will cloud or change their, you know, their opinions for future. So when it does come time when they can interpret, they've already been set. Their mindset is there from age 5.
Age 5, clearing to college. I mean, when you're thinking, you know, I mean, it's not a secret. You know, many people will tell you, clinicians, you know, doctors and what have you, will tell you, you know, women mature quicker than males, and some males, you know, get 21, 22, 23 years old before you're able to, you know, be fully matured and make good choices, good decisions, you know. So again, I think that's where we, at a young age, we have an obligation to intercede and take a look at what our kids are doing, make sure that we are well aware of what our kids are doing. I mean, if we have that willingness, like we're expressing, we want to know what the school's doing. We also want to know what our kids are doing to make sure that they're doing the right things. You know, so that we can catch that before it gets too far. I mean, I wouldn't want to put you on the spot, but I would definitely be curious to know if you have scenarios or something that have been maybe presented to you.
As far as,
Well, I mean,
like curriculum
You
type?
made a comment that, you know, that there are things within the school currently.
Yeah.
There's a
And
piece right now of curriculum they're replacing Mark Twain with, and then a teacher's response to how she feels about the curriculum that they replaced it with.
But you're talking about in the school.
yes,
It would have been a video, and it would have been a video of, what was the video?
It was some historical video, that a sub had told us about.
And basically, they did not focus on the correct historical aspect. They focused, the movie focused, you know, as they stop and then they discuss it, focused on all the minority groups that were around, not the actual historical events that were around. These are the things that, well, It was approved by a certain president and now it's, it's it. So, I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and bash anybody. What I'm trying to do is show you guys that, it's already here. It's already in your school. It might not be full blown. It might not be everywhere, but there are aspects of it throughout, and there will be. And as far as the curriculum goes, mathematics, yes. Science, yes. They're all, it's embedded into all of it. It's in the story problems. That way it can be taught that, I'll give you for instance, the actual union, teachers union. I was reading for this school. I was reading a statement that they made about the critical race. And when I read that, he talked just fine. And when he talked about the races, that it was white, Black, Latino, Native, and this is right on the website. Every single one of them were capitalized except for white and Native. Now, why would that be? Capitalization. Now, everything, obviously probably a teacher probably knows how to spell real well and do all that, I would assume. And every single word other than white and Native, they were all lowercase starts. Now, I don't really care, but in that aspect, there's a reason why that is done. That is done to show we're not going to have you be dominant anymore. You're going, you're not. You're oppressive. So we're going to use you as a lowercase. Now, I know that example is kind of vague, not very stand out, but that's one of those small things that are being done throughout all aspects of schools. Lowercase this, uppercase this, subliminal messaging saying that you are not equal.
Anyone else have any comments on anything?
My biggest fear is I have a 5-year-old. He sits right here next to me. And he is in the kindergarten introductory age. And yes, it seems stretching that they would start teaching it that young, but there is a kindergarten geared book. It is called Same, But Different. It teaches kids that they are the same, except for the fact that white kids have always had a bonus in life just because they're white. That, in fact, it doesn't plain out say you're white, you're a supremacist, but at the same time, it doesn't say be racist, hate blacks, but it's teaching them to divide. Just simply as that. Because they're saying, well, these people have it easy, you guys don't. It's naturally putting a divide between races. It's teaching racism. Where a 5-year-old is innocent enough, there's not racism. I grew up at this school. I grew up with, many of the people in this room actually. And I was never taught racism. I have several black friends. I know that's stereotypical, but honest to God, like what has changed that we need to start teaching that I had it easier than anybody else at the school? Because I didn't. We all had the same teachers. We all got graded on the same curriculum. There's no reason to introduce this into a curriculum now, and especially with somebody as innocent as a 5-year-old. I mean, the teaching itself it's there to say that the system is broken and all systems need to be broken down and rebuilt. I turned out to be a heck of a person because of this school in the majority of this book. Like, I didn't graduate from here, but 11 years of school I had. And I don't see where the system was broken. I mean, I know many people in this room. I think most of them can say I was not the best student, but I was your average student. I got along with most people. Some people I didn't. I mean, but everybody doesn't get along with everybody. And to sit there and tell kids from a young age that these people are gonna have it easy, these people aren't, based on, there's nothing we can do about it. That's the teaching. There's nothing we can do about it except for break down everything and start over again. And I, for one, will be, along with Chuck, pulling my kids out of school if this does in fact take hold in any significant part.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? On any other topic for that matter?
My son asked me to come because I didn't, he literally asked me an hour and a half before I knew about the meeting. Something about hoodies being banned and the, dress code coming up here. Is there any truth to that?
No, I heard the same thing, and I approached Mrs. Rosovic a month ago about it, and that's not true.
Okay,
There is a rule in our handbook, I believe, hoods cannot be worn up. And we're having a hard time enforcing that rule.
it's the same rule it's always been.
Yes,
Okay,
and we're having a hard time enforcing it, and so she's had it up to here with it, because kids don't follow the rules, so she's spoken about it, like, well, there might come a time I'm just gonna ban hoodies altogether, because you guys can't follow the rules and wear them. I asked her the same question, but
Okay.
that's not changing, just might be a little more
okay,
stricter on the rules and trying to get the kids to enforce it.
okay.
I know she's not with us tonight, I don't think the principals are, so. Oh, I think, oh, she wants to touch on it, she's welcome to. I didn't think she was gonna.
Marcia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but what he said is absolutely correct. There's no change.
Perfect, thanks.
Thanks for the clarification. Anyone else?
I want to ask Mr. White some more questions, since he's very knowledgeable on it, and I've done some research, and he made a comment. Everybody was taught equal and graded equal. How does CRT, does it affect that? The grading standards, and everybody's taught equal across the board?
They don't seem to want to have anything to want to do with grading. As far as I understand, they have made quotes as far as even saying there shouldn't be right answers in math. They think having right answers in math is racist. So as far as their actual grading stance, I can't give you an exact answer, but they have said that if there shouldn't be right answers in math, that is racist.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to tell you, Bill, that.
Well, I'm a math major, and I've never been anywhere where I didn't have to have the right answer all the way through college.
Well,
That's
it
what
would
I
be,
got my degree
it would
in.
be considered.
It wasn't easy either.
It would be considered privilege that you know the answer and someone else doesn't. Not merit.
That may
See-
very well have been the case for many of us. I mean,
Well,
just because I got the answer
we've
right,
all-
and somebody got it wrong, doesn't mean, maybe it just meant they obviously understood it and I didn't.
Right.
And it
Well-
took somebody else teaching me a different way in order to get it.
You would be being oppressive.
Well,
You would be,
and-
you would be an oppressive person for that.
And everybody who didn't have the right answer was damaged by the system. It's the system's fault. You knew the answer, but they didn't.
Yeah, so we need to equalization and then equity as opposed to equal. See, equity is the term that they use as opposed to equality. Okay, equity is.
Same outcome.
Yeah.
Where
Makes sense.
So they would put that across the board on any type of grading. Whether they would give out A's, B's, I don't know. I don't think that's the concept. The concept really is to basically make everybody, that if you're a certain race, you're not supposed to learn this, you're supposed to learn this, and divide everybody.
I can't cite the information directly, but NEA is in favor of acceptable, unacceptable, more like that, you know, rather than a grading system.
So no more merit is basically what it comes down to. If you're smart, you study, and you get straight A's, and you're the top of the class, and you do this and you do that, and you just work your tail off, that wouldn't matter anymore.
It's only because you were put up by the system where the
Yep.
others were held back.
Yep.
Sorry to interject.
No, that's fine. Yeah, jump in.
Would merit also be considered when you're talking what's something that's acceptable versus something that's not acceptable?
Merit doesn't
mean,
count anymore.
Well, I realize that, but I'm just saying, I mean, if you use any sort of grading system, whether something is right or something is wrong, or whether it's acceptable or not acceptable, or it was a pass or a fail, I think no matter where we go, and, you know, in that, you know, with the example that's been cited, I think, I mean, it could easily be construed that's the direction that things are going. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either, but.
I guess that would.
What's the sense of working? What's the sense of getting that A and that A plus if it's just gonna be pass fail? I mean, why not just skate by?
And I guess it would also be what is deemed acceptable. If it's deemed acceptable just because I tried, if I put 1 down and the answer is 101, if I tried, is that deemed acceptable? Because
That's just like making people lazy.
yeah, exactly. Like I can put down any answer and say I tried my best, and if that's deemed acceptable, I'm sorry, in my book that's not acceptable. And that's what Chuck was saying, the merit of hard work and dedication to something is gone out the window. We're going to be an apathetic nation if this takes hold in any kind of significance. And I, for one, don't want my children raised that way. I want them to learn that hard work and dedication is how you get somewhere. Everybody in this room is in their own place because of what they did. Not because of the color of their skin, but because of what they did in life. I'm not as well off as other people. People aren't as well off as me. But it's because of my hard work and dedication as to where I am.
One of the handouts that you guys received from, one of the handouts from me was from the National Museum of African American History and Culture, basically the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. And it talks about white culture and whiteism. And these were handouts that were given, just so you can see if you want to look over it, and talks about what the family structure is and what the nuclear family is. And basically the reason why this was printed up so they could see that what this is wrong. This is not right. Nuclear family, father, mother, 2.3 children is an ideal social unit. I mean, I could go history based on European immigrants' experience in the United States, heavy focus on British Empire. Religion, Christianity is the norm. And these are things that this was given out because, this was to focus on dominant culture and whiteness. Anything other than Judeo-Christianity tradition is foreign. No tolerance for deviation from single God concepts. These are the things that are floating around. It might not be floating around in Pioneer, Ohio, but I got it. And it's in my hand and it's in your guys' hands. So it could be in anybody's hands. And if they want to enact it, that's why we're here. We're here to monitor and make sure that this stuff doesn't get enacted. That's your guys' oath. That's what you guys are here for. You guys get to make these decisions and, protect our kids from things like this. Yeah, another handout.
Did you have more questions?
No, go ahead.
Well, I would like to make a statement first. First of all, I'll start out by saying, from what I know about CRT, I don't agree with any of it. I don't want it in our schools.
Okay.
That's where I want to start. Now, going on from there, is race a topic that needs to be discussed and talked about at school? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so that's where the slippery slope comes in. Because if there's gonna be repercussions for anything that aligns with CRT, but we discuss a topic such as race, our teachers are backs against the wall. Like, what do I say? What do I not say? What can I, what? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So that's just, it just becomes a very, very slippery slope to go down.
And 5 years ago, this school, I'm sure, talked about racism in some type of form of
Right.
curriculum.
And if it's in a book that
Right.
the students
Exactly.
read, literature, whatever it is, okay?
And if today they use the exact same curriculum and the exact same book, then it would be what it was. But if they spin it, or it's being spun into teaching the kids that are white that they're wrong, and that they're the cause of this, that's CRT.
Right.
And I understand that it's a slippery slope.
That's where it just gets very, very tricky as far as we can come out and make a statement, we can come out, pass a resolution that it's not in our school. But then,
Where's the line get drawn?
yeah, where is that line, and how do you teach on topics such as racism or race or literature that includes it or has it in it without being on pins and needles as far as an educator?
But the school has a disciplinary procedure in place. That procedure
And
would
like,
hold true for anything. If it were serious enough to be raised, it would be serious enough to be addressed, and the disciplinary procedure would prevail. I know enough about that to know that there's enough checks and balances throughout the disciplinary, that nothing's gonna happen to someone who inadvertently brought up something.
Well, and if it's in the curriculum and something that's been taught, that's fine. It's when it's spun into something else. Now,
Right.
granted, are you gonna see it? Are you gonna hear about it? Maybe not. But if we see it and hear about it and we bring it to the board, then you guys can investigate it. And if that's not the case, then that's not the case. And I understand that puts people on pins and needles. Okay. Fine. You know why? Because then they won't teach it. And if they don't like it, sorry. We're the voters. We brought you guys in here to do do this stuff. That's why we're here.
I think a very big difference is what was being taught in school 5 years ago is American history. What CRT is theory, it is not
Right.
history.
right.
So there's a very clear definitive difference.
Okay, when you take absolute truth
Mhm.
out of things, then everything's open for interpretation. And people start developing their own theories.
You get a
And that's-
perverted
and that's-
sense of the truth.
And that's where we're at.
I can make it very, very clear for you. CRT breaks the First Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. If you allow it in your schools, you are breaking federal law on North Central school grounds.
That is correct.
I can make it very clear for you.
Right. But
Whether you guys ban it or you don't ban it, whether you make a resolution or you don't make a resolution, if it is found, all of those are correct, and there are federal lawsuits brought onto schools and being won because they're allowing it in the school.
American history does not break federal law. You can teach that racism is wrong. You can teach about tolerance. You can teach about all of those things and not break federal law. You can teach kids that you can love people of different colors and all of those things, and nothing needs to change. That does not change the fact that CRT breaks federal law. Just because we have a presidential administration that is breaking its own federal laws does not mean that North Central needs to do the same.
Correct.
It's a very easy thing to understand. It breaks federal law.
Can I say something? The difference really between it is teaching about racism is fine, but CRT demonizes the students in the class for past things that have happened. That's the difference. It's not teaching about racism, because obviously it's a bad thing, is okay. It's that CRT is trying to split and demonize some of the students for things they have never done, have never thought. That's the big issue. So I think it'd be pretty easy if someone thought something was going on to review it and see if that particular book or something was just teaching about racism and things that happen, or actually demonizing the students. That is the bad part of what it does.
If you teach that young too, and you have little kids, they're gonna eventually, I mean, kids are bullies. You know, that's like a natural thing. It's gonna pin kids. I mean, I don't know how many black kids or whatever we have in North Central, but if that gets taught here, is it gonna cause like animosity between kids of different races? I think it will.
Anything else, anyone? I'm not trying to cut anybody off. All right, let's continue on with the meeting. Thank you all. Treasurer's report.
I have 2 items for July here, minutes from the June 29th regular meeting and the financial statements and investments that are in there for you every month. I did want to point out, we did get news with we have current estimates with the passing of the Fair School Funding Act that has went through. We know what the first 2 years are going to be like. Again, they're estimates, but for fiscal year 22, we are to see a state aid increase of $151,529. And then the second year, which is fiscal year 23, an additional on top of that 151, another $293,248. So overall, in the next 2 years, additional state aid with that passing of Fair School Funding Act, we're going to get just under $600,000 over the next 2 years. So that was definitely good news with that passing. And you will see on your green sheet that we did end fiscal year 21 revenue over expenditures of $275,562. So just some highlights that I wanted to share with you tonight on some of the reports that were in there. So a light month for the treasurer's report, but if there are any questions, I will answer them, or if I can't, I will get the answers for you.
Any questions?
Just on that green sheet, I just want to touch, I know we've thanked our townships before, but I mean, that certainly helped us out a lot getting through this year, and
The ESSER funds that
keeping
were,
a budget positive, and absolutely, it was much appreciated on that.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll move.
Have a motion by Tim,
I'll second.
second by Lee. Any other questions, comments? Call the roll, Mr. Smelter.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
Okay. Cafeteria transaction fees I wanted to talk about. Just a concept. Over the last 2 years, our community or parents have the ability to put money on kids' accounts. Like, they can go on and use their checking account, they can send checks in, or they can use their credit cards, and there's transaction fees involved with that. The total for the last 2 years was $2,234.45 that our parents paid to put money on accounts for kids so that they could eat. Obviously, this past year, all breakfast and lunches are free, a federal government program. This coming year, all lunches, breakfast and lunches are free. Some schools pay these fees so the parents don't have to pay them. Over 2 years, it was $2,234.45. I don't know if this board would be interested in covering the cost of those transaction fees for parents so that they can continue to put money on the accounts without having to pay. I think transactions under $50 are $1.65. It's a flat rate. Transactions over $50 are 3.9% of whatever somebody puts on. So I could look through the history and see, if someone puts, $100 on, it's 3.9%. Then if you use your checking account, there's a flat rate of $1.75. So it was something that I wanted to bring up to the board in consideration for our parents that use that. I know the easiest thing to do is write a check or bring the money in, and then you wouldn't have that fee, but it's just, seems like more and more people are using that as the method to make sure the kids have money on their accounts. And obviously you can get a free lunch. This would be for the things that they buy on top of it, and you'd be amazed at how many people are buying, maybe parents know this, extra things on top of the lunches and the breakfasts. So that was something that I wanted to bring up to the board. I don't think it would, it's $2,234. Now, obviously it may be more expensive than that because obviously this past year, we had a whole full school year, but the year before, we were short of the last quarter when school closed, the governor shut the school down. So it was something to think about. It's not a whole lot of money. It's giving back to the community, and it's making sure kids have money on their accounts for the extras. That keeps our cafeteria solvent.
That transaction fee, that'd have to come out of the school fund, or could it come out of the general fund?
It would come out-
cafeteria
It would come out of the
fund.
cafeteria
Come out of
fund,
the
and right now we
cafeteria.
have a positive balance. It's the way we would do it.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that says it has to come out of the cafeteria fund. If that, we so choose that we want to take it out of the general fund, we could do that.
I think it makes more sense to come out of the cafeteria fund.
It would be a cafeteria
Yeah,
expense.
Cafeteria expense.
Yeah, we're trying to get the cafeteria to be fluid and,
Right.
$1,000 or if it could be paid out of general fund and the cafeteria runs positive. Obviously, we're gonna do for the next 2 years, but
Yes.
hoping to continue that.
And in the meanwhile, I'm having Rob look into other transaction places that may be cheaper. I just think it's a service to our community. And some other schools do it. We don't have to do it. It's just an idea, something that I think would be nice.
Yeah, I would be for it and would entertain a resolution next meeting or something for it.
Yes, it would be something I would entertain. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I did provide you with, I forwarded you some emails from the company, and they're working on a minimum, because sometimes somebody will put $1 on and then they have to pay $1.65. I just think that's, so the company's working on a way to have, you have to put a minimum amount in, like $10, or they haven't got there yet. So I just wanted to bring that up. Are you okay? Next, on the 10th, I'm gonna have the update to the transportation handbook. Eric and I will get that updated for the next meeting so we can improve that. I want to remind everybody about school. Excitingly enough, we are getting ready for the 21-22 school year already. And on August 16th, we will open our doors for open house between 5:30 and 7 o'clock at night on August 16th. August 17th will be a teacher work day, and then our first day of school for our class of 2022 and everybody that's below that will be August 18th. So we're looking at, obviously today being the 20th, we're looking at less than a month and we'll be back in school. So I think that's pretty exciting. Next regular board meeting is August 10th at 6:30. We've got some other notes that I want to talk about. The CDC requirements for face masks on public transportation. We got an update on that. I wanted to read my update from BASA, which is the superintendent organization. And it says our masks required on school buses. And I had a conversation today with Representative Hoops about this, because I sent him an email and he actually took the time to call me. I've known him for a long time. We had a discussion about a number of things, and one of them was masks. Because we are starting the year, we're not requiring masks. If somebody wants to wear a mask, obviously they have the right to do that. But it says passengers and drivers must wear masks on school buses, including on buses operated by public and private school systems, subject to the exclusion and exemptions in the CDC's order, operators of school buses should refer to the Department of Education's COVID-19 handbook, PDF, for additional guidance. BASA has reached out to the governor's office about this requirement for the coming school year. Assistant Policy Director for Governor DeWine, Devin Babcock, notes that he expects to have the state interpretation of the CDC guidance out this week, including information on the authority and implications of the CDC order. The BASA team will provide information to our members as it becomes available. BASA members should continue to have conversations with local health departments. So we're watching this very closely because this order actually, according to Ennis and Britton, which is our legal people, is valid until September 13th, is the way the CDC set it up. So just wanted to bring that up. I just want to remind the board that Johnson Controls has been in. They've been working on halos for North Central Junior High School. We're doing that as part of our safety updates, and halos have to do with the sensors that sense different things that are going on in the school, like potential vaping and things like that. So we're looking into making sure that we are prepared. So that's in, and I've got an estimate, and we're looking at going forward using ESSER funds to get that done. And then I'm still working on the trainer. I've got a trainer agreement. I've got that stuff in the packet. We have an agreement. We just don't have the trainer yet. Our trainer will be here full-time in our district. The trainer we had is now full-time over at Stryker, so we're going to continue to work with Midwest Community Health. They pay a third of it, the cost. The way the breakdown is Community Health and Wellness Centers pay a third, North Central pays a third, and Midwest Community Health Associates pay a third for the cost of the training. So that hasn't changed. Other than it's going to be full-time, so it's going to be a cost of $20,000 for that. So but that's our agreement, and I just want to make you aware I will have this for you, but we don't have anybody to do this right now. We're still looking. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless somebody else has questions or comments.
Got a few things. Do we have our school list, supply list for all the classes? Are they on websites, or how do parents get to those? Besides going to Walmart and their little kiosk and grabbing the paper.
Well, those.
How do we know what class our kids are in?
We haven't got the list out yet. Andy, are the lists coming out for who's in what class?
It's something, hopefully you can hear me, but we get back, Becky and I and Julie, the first week is always a busy time with, firming up class rosters, those types of things. So that's usually the first thing that we work on. We get back together on August 2nd, but yeah, it'll be out shortly with regards to posting rosters of who's in second grade, homerooms, and third grade and fourth grade, so on and so forth. So yeah, we'll get it to Deb to get posted and get moving, as quickly as we can with regards to getting that information out. But hopefully by that Friday, which I think off the top of my head might be the 6th, we can have that out to everybody.
As far as materials they need for the classes, that's information is out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, with the grade cards, I'm pretty sure I recall with the grade cards, Julie put out, class, supply list, but I don't know for sure right off the top of my head if they're out there on the web page or school site that they've been posted at this point in time, because, we haven't, told the families if, this student's going to be in, Mrs. Kaiser's homeroom, or this student's going to be in Mrs. Beauregard's homeroom in 6th grade. So, but it's usually that's the first thing that we work on as a group when we get back together, is those types of things.
Okay, perfect.
All right. I just asked because the pre-tax weekend is the 6th through the 8th, so people are gonna wanna know what supplies they need so they can take advantage of it. And if they don't know what class their kid's going in, they don't know what supplies they need. So I think we need to.
That'd be more a grade level thing, wouldn't it, rather than?
Yeah, well, they need.
I mean, there may be certain things that My example would be that Mrs. Kaiser would want that maybe, that Miss Beck would want that Mrs. Kaiser would not, or vice versa. But for the most part, y'all use the same, or it's the same supplies for all the kids, is it not?
We have some things that are different.
A few,
Yeah,
but for
mostly, yeah, for
the
general.
bulk of it would be second grade items.
Yeah.
So that's the part I think that you were basically asking what.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know what they're supposed to get
So we
and,
they
they
can
can
start
take
getting
advantage of it.
supplies around.
Yeah, well, like I said, that weekend's tax-free for all school supplies, clothing,
Okay.
and diapers even. I mean, come on, you can buy
You
diapers.
said August 6th?
6th through 8th is the tax-free weekend. You can buy diapers tax-free? I mean, no, I'm not buying diapers. It just caught my eye.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, expect some. Oh, boy. I was gonna ask, I know we talked about drug testing for our athletes, and I think it turned pretty mute. We never went yay or nay. Is this something we're gonna look into for this school year?
I can look into it. I have, and I priced it. It's kind of pricey,
Yep, I've looked.
and we didn't have the funds to do that. However, if it's something that you want, I can make it happen like that. Because I'm for it, to be honest with you. I think that we should drug test. I think that we should random drug test.
Yeah.
I think it's in the best interest of our student athletes. And
Yeah, I bring it up
it gives them the
because-
opportunity, because I have brought it up, gives them the opportunity to say no.
Mhm.
It does. It's a deterrent. It's not a got you thing. It's a,
Right, yeah, it's not, we're
That's
gonna
not
kick
the
you out of
point of it.
school, it's a deterrent.
yes. And so I think if that's something important, they're ready to, I mean, they've got a proposal out there. It's just getting with the AD, which we're going with a new AD now.
Mhm. I just
What he
think
feels
that-
is important.
I've heard from people, concerned we have a drug problem in here, and I think I think it would be a good thing to do, especially for our athletes, and we'd be jumping on board with several local schools in the county that do it.
Yes.
I think there was Bryan, Mill Creek Western, he does it, Edgerton.
Yeah.
Other schools already have that implemented, so.
Okay. I'll get with Mr. Mickey.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
When you say they can say no, they don't have to take it?
No, what I'm saying is when you're in a situation where you're out with your friends and they're doing something and you know that you potentially could be drug tested, the whole concept is you say, no, I'm gonna be drug tested. That's your out to not do something as opposed to doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Okay.
That's
I thought
what-
you meant they could say no instead
No,
of like,
no.
no.
It would be part of, you can't just drug test anybody. It's gotta be people participating in extra curricular activities.
Well, all my years in the industry,
Yes.
people got terminated when they failed.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is I'm for that, and I'm saying it gives the kids a reason to say no. It gives them an excuse to say, no, I can't do that. No, I'm gonna be drug tested. No, we get random. I don't know if I'm gonna be up. And so it gives them an out for peer pressure, is what I mean.
It's fair and consistent across the board when you do it that way.
Yeah.
And the company does the random, they do random, sometimes they'll do whatever package you pick, it's like anything else. You can go with the top package, you can go with the middle package, you can go with the low package, but any of the packages are designed to
I
deter.
would assume the hair test is the most expensive.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, the guy next to you.
That's right there.
We're talking to you.
Hey, now.
Well, you too.
What kind of money are you talking about, like, for this program?
What's it?
Here, you can rattle off whatever you want.
I got it in my office. It depends on what you pick.
Yeah.
If you pick a 5-panel test or a 10-panel test, they test for a lot of different things. So If you do the 5-panel test, it's $17 per person that you get tested. So, or a 10-panel test is $22 a person. Then you got the nicotine and the breath alcohol, they add up. I mean, it could be as much as $54 a person. So, I mean, you just have to decide what you want to do. That's all I'm saying, is that's where the
Yeah, you have to select what drugs you want
Right.
to test for.
But the kids don't even know that.
No, they don't even know that. What I'm saying is
No, they don't know
we
what
know
you're-
that.
I didn't know if it was a flat.
I'm gonna stay tuned into this.
No.
Just 30 students for X many dollars. I didn't know if it was a flat rate.
Yeah, it's a
Yearly
per,
flipping or-
it's a per, because you don't know how many you have in the fall versus the winter versus, I mean, it'll be different and it'll be per student. So,
But it might be 10 students in the fall and it might be 20 in the winter.
right, but if you do everybody in the fall,
Basketball,
everybody in the
football,
winter, and everybody.
I think that's kind of what you was
Right, I didn't know if it
maybe
was long,
curious
like,
about.
I didn't know it was per student or how.
Per student. So it could be, if you do random, then they randomly select people in the fall. So it would be less than everybody. If you do everybody, it's obviously gonna be more expensive. You know, so, and then it depends on which test you pick, or which panel, how many panels you want. So, anyways, that was a good question. You got my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got mine too, I wouldn't have brought it up. I think it's something, I don't know if they need to come in again and we need to.
They want to come in, they keep sending me emails.
Well, I mean, I think we should entertain them coming in and discuss the different items we might select, you know. I'm not gonna lay it out like a buffet, but I mean, we can either do 5 select items, you know, work with Tim and get the SRO in here and see what they think could be problems in here. And
Well, they have the ones that they use at all. I mean, they'll give you like, hey, this is the most common one. These are the ones that we test for, and they'll name them for you. Bing, 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 bing.
Mhm. But I think you said they could even pick up vape oils and, I mean,
Yep.
it's all what we wanna look into.
Need to get them in here.
Will do.
Anybody, anything else? Okay. We need to have a motion to approve the purchase of various items for staff, including for professional development days, waiver days, teacher work days throughout the school year. Kind of gifts or handouts, I'm taking.
Yeah, so sometimes we provide lunch, which Rob will provide the lunch or the breakfast, and then
Correct.
the board pays for that. And he sends us, so that's to make sure that you know that stuff's going on and that you approve it year to year. That's why I put it on there each year.
Do I have a motion?
I'll
A motion by Shane,
second.
seconded by Anthony. Any other questions? Call roll, Mr. Smelter?
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
And then we also need to approve the purchase of staff appreciation gifts, gift cards, and retirement gifts and gift cards during the school year.
And that's at the end of the year, we do staff appreciation, and people get awards for being 5 years and 10 years and 15 years and so forth, and retirement. So the board actually pays for that, so I pass a resolution, or put a resolution for you to approve that so that we have the ability to do that. That's what I ask.
Do I hear a motion? I have a motion by Tim. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Anthony. Any other questions or comments? Call roll, please, Mr. Smelter.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer.
Yes. We also need to approve the proposal for the following pay rates for substitute. Substitute teacher, $95 a day. Bus drivers, $20 per hour. Secretaries, $14 per hour. Aides, including cafeteria help, at $12 per hour. And custodial, including the summer custodian, at $12 per hour. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Have a motion by Wade, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Anthony. Any questions or comments?
Our substitute teacher rate. Is that the same as it has been?
Yes. These, I approve these every year so that you know exactly what we're paying the subs and so the treasurer knows exactly what needs to be paid.
It's increased.
It's increased, but this is what it was this past year.
It's the same as it was last year, but
I'm just wondering if that, do we have any difficulty getting subs because of our rate? Is that the rate that other schools in the area are paying?
We're paying $95 to $100 is the going rate. I mean, we could up it if that's what the board wants. But we have been able to get subs. We're not flush with subs. This past couple of years has been tough with what's been going on with COVID.
I mean,
Many people been out.
I think there's a shortage of substitutes
Yeah.
out there.
There is a shortage of
Problem,
substitutes
I
out
think.
there.
I don't know. In discussions that I've had with other people in the area, I don't think the money is the issue as far as finding a sub. It's just finding them, period. I don't think it's the pay. It's just finding subs, period. And granted, we are kind of in the corner of geographically, where they would, the farthest distance about that they would have to travel. So that does have somewhat of an effect, but the pay, from what I've been told, we're right in the ballpark, and it probably wouldn't make hardly any difference at all, even if we'd make it $200 a day. And I know I'm exaggerating.
Homer, that could make it.
Bus drivers, I saw, I think they're substitutes.
Yeah.
Yep. And an
Just
hourly
to give
rate.
you an idea, just doing the math on your teacher,
Oh,
I make your substitute teacher, I think $15 an hour. If they're here for 6 hours.
You can't find bus drivers for $20 an hour.
Yeah, everybody.
They're here well, they're here for more than.
Not necessarily.
Chuck, they're here for more than 6 hours.
I didn't-
That's,
Well, yeah,
that's
yeah,
why,
I'm just doing that math.
I mean,
8-3, if I understand they're here more than.
yeah, and I was doing the math.
Yeah,
That's why-
exactly. That's what I
That's
was
why I'm
looking at
saying it's
going.
$95 enough to be enticing, to have decent subs, to have enough subs and to.
If you want to cross it out and make it something different.
I just wanted to bring it up before we vote. I just wanted to have some discussion.
Not a problem, but I just know that I've been told that the money is not really the issue, it's the availability. And the fact of traveling the distance.
I mean, if there is an availability issue district-wide or county-wide, if we're paying at the same rate of anybody else, even if we were to bump it up a little bit to entice them to come to us, so our kids are getting the education versus going to a different district where that could create its own scarcity. And it is a rather, like, when I heard the number, I thought it was a little low myself.
Okay. Questions, comments then?
Do you want to re-entertain the
I
sub
just,
pay?
I
Like,
just, I wanted
do a
to,
survey, get a survey for countywide or something and see what average pay is?
I would like to know what,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to be on the low end and.
Right, yeah, like
Yeah,
you say, they're not
position.
gonna drive the extra 15 minutes to get here, if
Right.
they can make $5 more and
Yeah.
Archbold.
Or even $5 less.
Well, and
If they can go to Archbold for 90, they're not gonna drive.
Right,
I
yeah.
just want to make sure that our subs are fairly compensated. I mean, I want
And
to
would
have
too,
quality
I do
subs
too.
because we know we need them.
Do we want to approve this and we can always amend it and change it later?
Well, we have another board meeting August 10th.
Correct,
We
but
aren't
I'm
gonna
just
have
saying,
any.
we can go ahead.
Yeah, we can approve it and I can bring you something
If we
different.
get better
Look
numbers,
into it
we'll
and see
change,
where
we'll adjust it at August, but we can go ahead and improve it as is at this point at least. Unless someone prefers to table.
I mean, if we Table the whole thing, we're not out nothing either, because
No,
we'll
no.
approve it before school starts, and then we don't have to amend it.
Technically, we're not out, you're right. It's not a big deal.
Just table it and don't vote on it.
Table it? Do we all agree, table it? Okay. We will table the resolution for pay rates then.
And you're only talking about the teacher one, right?
That was
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think we bumped up the custodian and cafeteria not last year, didn't I? I think we were at 10, and we went up to 12
Yes.
for those. How's bus subs, Eric? You got 5 or 6 lined up the door?
Absolutely not. You see 3 of us here,
Who's that? Well,
but we're better shape than other schools. How about that?
Yeah, we're good.
I know of 3 other schools, all need drivers, route drivers.
but you know, the problem with what he said was he's counting me as one of those.
Mhm.
Okay, I just let you know.
Number 3.
All right, so now I want to get this right. Do we want to approve everything but the teacher pay?
Well, the way they said it was table the whole thing.
Table.
And I will,
Table the whole thing.
All right, I just want
I
to
gotta
make sure.
I remember.
Make sure we had this right. Okay, then next we need to approve the OTES 2.0, the resolution to approve the MOU contract addendum between the North Central Board of Education and the North Central Education Association regarding the OTES 2.0 per our attachment.
So some explanation if you want. OTES 1.0 is the evaluation system that we used to have.
Right.
We are now required to do OTES 2.0, and we met with our evaluation committee, let's call it. And we worked out the new language to make sure that we had everything to move to OTES 2.0, and we updated the language, so we've come to an MOU that we are now compliant with OTES 2.0. That's basically the summation.
Do I have a motion? A motion by Anthony,
I'll second.
seconded by Lee. Any other questions, comments? Call roll, Mr. Smelter.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane.
Yes.
Need a resolution to approve the establishment of the TTG Club, which is tabletop gaming for North Central, which is like playing Dungeons and Dragons and chess and.
Yeah, the key is it's on a trial basis. That was presented at the last board meeting. Sam was here, Mr. Hutchinson, he came and presented, and he actually has been working on that for probably about 1.5 years, to be honest with you. Yes, and so anyways, want to give him the opportunity to start that club up and see how he does. So I put on a trial basis as was presented for the 21-22 school year, see how it goes. Thought he did a very nice job organizing.
I wanted to make sure everybody knew what
Yes.
TTG stood for.
Tabletop gaming.
And this, like he said, is a trial basis for this school year. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Have a motion by Tim. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Question, comments? Mr. Smelter?
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
On the consent agenda side, we need to approve employment pending records on Amanda Schmidt for our new elementary intervention instructor. The extended service contracts for the 21-22 school year, an additional half an hour for Julie Galloway as an educational aide, an extra quarter of an hour for Cindy Myers as an educational aide, and another quarter hour for Julie Taylor as an educational aide. And then we also need to approve the the Northwest Ohio Educational Service Center teacher and paraprofessional substitute list dated July 7th, 2021 for the 21-22 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Have a motion by Anthony. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lee. Any questions, comments? Please call the roll, Mr. Smelter.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Yes.
Anthony.
Executive session. Anyone? Anyone? No? Any discussion or anything else that we wish to present or do tonight?
I wanted to ask, what's our technology plan for this year's funding? Are we gonna look into like trial running a testing card with laptops?
We are gonna get input from the staff, as we're set for this year, of what they maybe want us to look at going forward in the next year, what kind of devices and so forth from our technology committee. That's the goal. We obviously are getting we get new laptops for the freshmen, and then they carry them through their 4 years. That's the cycle we're on. We got new stuff last year in kindergarten. So most all of our technology is newer. And now I think the next step is to see the quality of what we're getting. I think maybe I'm not speaking for the teachers, but I think they would like better quality stuff. I mean, does that sum it up to be?
For the students or?
For the students, yes.
Actually go to like an actual Chromebook or
Something, I mean, whatever they
something of
decide,
that nature?
yes. That's kind of the plan.
That was the moves, library and all that, I haven't been into it yet, see how it's coming together.
It's coming together, we'll have to check it out. The building is clean, we're getting things put back. Just excited to get ready to get started. We have summer school coming up in the elementary, starting beginning of August for 8 days.
Would you say second?
90.
That distance, I need my glasses here, I don't.
We got like 8 days of that, correct?
9.
9 days. Okay. Summer school for the kids in the elementary that were selected or invited, correct? I mean, that's how.
And we got our new bus, correct?
We got our new bus number 3. We have to get it inspected in order, and to get licensed.
So that puts us 4 propanes or 3? 4 propanes. And we're on 9 total now? We've
Yeah, we got 9 buses.
Come back on one?
Yeah, 9 buses. The new one's sitting out there if you want to look at it.
Yeah, it's next to the bus barn.
Yeah. It'll be bus 3.
Anything else from anyone? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Have a motion by Tim. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Anthony. Any other questions, comments? Call roll, Mr. Smelter.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes,
Tim,
Yes.
time.
8:02.
Thank you.